We are here again. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the official Echanova Digital channel. We are still here at the studio at B&H. We had a major network problem, meaning a network crash. And the studio jumped in and said, hey, we're going to fix this. So took a little break. We worked hard, and we're still here. And I couldn't leave without showing you guys the camera. So still here, And thank a special shout out, a super again special shout out to Sharif Sadek, Michelle Suissa, and Clarissa Fulgieri. Let me make sure I pronounce that right, because I don't want to mess up anybody's name. Clarissa Fulgieri. Special shout out to you guys for accommodating us here and helping us spread value to our streamers, to our viewers' streams. As I said, you witnessed a network crash during a live stream, and that is a live streamer's worst nightmare. And frankly, I just wanted to walk out. But the staff here at the studio said, we're going to fix this. We want to do this, and you get a second chance to perform. And my producer even had to take me for a walk and have some lunch, which, by the way, I totally forgot to eat this morning, and I was just feeling terrible. But here I am, back again, back at the studio, 33rd Street and 9th Avenue. And if you are in the area, you could still come by and tap on the glass and say hello, wave to the camera. And as you know, the topic of the day is cameras. So I'll do a little recap. You might have seen the other one, but you may have not. So I'll do a recap of the cameras. Mr. Producer, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the first one, and we'll talk about it. And so as I there, that's the right one, yeah. So a little recap. In 2020, everybody became streamers, and including myself, and I had to figure out what I was going to do, and I started helping an orchestra, who I love very much. By the way, I miss you guys very much. Children's Orchestra Society, Dr. Yu Cheng Ma, Mr. Michael Dadup, and all the children of the orchestra. So I started working with them, and the one thing that I just fixated on was how bad my camera looked. And I had this camera at the time. This was my built-in LG, built-in webcam in my LG monitor, which I'm currently using now. I'll show you what that looks like. That is this. So as you could see, the quality is different, especially in low light. And every time I move, it seems like there's a little light shift or something. It's constantly trying to adjust. And I didn't like that because I'm a camera nerd. Some people like to drive stick. I like manual cameras. I want to have full control. I keep forgetting which camera's on now. Anyway, I'll go back to my main camera. So that was my experience. And then I said, well, let me level up, and I'm going to buy a webcam. Now, I don't know how many of you remember how hard it was to buy a webcam in 2020, but the backlog was crazy. Well, I happened to have one buried somewhere in my office, and I remembered that, and I pulled it out, and I was like, oh, let's try this out. And this was it. The Logitech 922 Pro, I believe it's called, the HD 1080p webcam with built-in microphone. It served its purpose, but it looked like this. Hello. Yes, it was bright. I could control it, and I could control it somewhat, but still the quality just, if you look at the range of the highlights, like this is look at my hair, black hair, and then look at the black on the back of this camera back here, and then look at the whites in the background. Just the range wasn't, the range of black, dark to highlights just isn't very pleasing. It's very harsh, and Hetch is very vain. So harsh does not work on Hetch. Again, I'm looking at the wrong camera. This is better. So I looked at tutorials. I messed with settings, tinker, messed with the lighting. And it just was never good enough. But that's only because I'm a freak of nature when it comes to cameras. You know, again, if I may do a little recap on this webcam here. This is my first camera. My dad's Nikkormat FTN with a 51 Nikkor S51.4 lens. That camera is fully manual. As a matter of fact, I think the only thing that was somewhat automated was the meter inside, but it didn't work either. I changed the batteries. I had tried to have it repaired. I just gave up on it. And I'm going to go back to a good cam because I don't like the way I look on this. So I was used to a camera, but I'm used to a camera that I can control. If I want to look silhouette, I want to be able to control it. If I want to make it dark, I want to control it. If I turn the lights on or to turn them down, I want the light to stay down or up. I don't want a camera that tries to adapt or go on, brighten the image or do what it thinks is right. I'm in control, especially now that I'm then when I'm locked up at home and I just want it my way because it's the only thing at the time that I could have my way. So I continued to search, dug in my storage space actually, and I forgot I had a bunch of GoPros. Well, these GoPros must be better than this webcam because I know how to control it. And so I pulled up the old GoPro Hero 4 Black. And I thought, great, this is going to be great. And I mounted it up and I started the lighting and I turned it on and I was like, WTF is this? Seriously, what is this? Fact of the matter is, my expectations were too high. And by the way, if you can't see, that's the Hetchmobile back there, SWAT-looking van. I have my bodyguards in there just standing by in case someone comes in here and thinks I'm famous and tries to rush me. Okay, that's just a fantasy. Anyway, this is my little setup here at the studio. It's a mess, and I'm okay with it. But anyway, this is the GoPro, and I tried different angles. I tried different color variations. I tried doing all kinds of stuff. It just was not good enough. But it's what I had, so I went with it. But it's just better for something like snowboarding with my son. It's good for that. Or anything except this. So I moved forward and I found another camera. Let's see. And for some reason, it's dark right now. I went to this. This is the Fujifilm X100. This is the Fujifilm X100. And I happen to have this, and it's great. It's exactly what I needed. It has one lens. Has the speed of the lens is a T2. fully adjustable, fully manual if you need it to be. And it's currently what I use. It's my go-to camera when live streaming. And this is it right now. And it keeps turning off, so I'm going to figure that out. In the meantime, I'll go to this camera. This here, this is a Sony Venice. Yes. 4K, full 4K, Super 35 size sensor, Sony Venice. Currently on a zoom at 80 mils T2.8. As you can see, it just starts getting better. The image quality just starts getting better and better. The range is nicer. Like I can darken this a little bit on the camera, but I decided to leave it nice and light so you could see that even the whites in the background aren't fully blown out like the webcam. Let's see where that one is. This one, like this. See? So this is the C22 webcam, and when I bring in the Sony Venice, the dynamic range is just all the difference in the world, plus the depth of field. Now, I thought I said this on the last bit where our system crashed, but for all you true camera geeks like myself, I'm going to apologize now because this is not a camera review. I'm not going to get into the Sony Venice. It's really about cameras and how they work in live streams. So feel free to leave, but I'd love it if you stay, and forgive me, but I'm really happy you're here with me today. So yes, Sony Venice. And right outside right now, even to the eye, it's darker than what it looks like in there. I've got a little bit of light on me, and you can see it's super sensitive. It just reads into the shadows, but it softens the highlights. And Hedge looks good. Good enough. The next camera that I have, and I still got to figure out why my main camera isn't working, but I have this. Oh, by the way, this is the Sony Venice. And I'm currently about to start a movie. I guess you can IMDb me. And I can say this camera is involved. And it's really beautiful. It's actually really great for HDR as well. And this camera is easily 40 grand for the body alone. So you include the lens. Right now I'm using a $70,000 webcam. So if that's what you're looking for, this is a pretty good option. But wait, there's more. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the Alexa LF. And there she goes. Alexa Mini LF. This body is about 68 grand starting without all the modules and the stuff that you don't see it here, but we have it. You don't see it on this picture, but we have it here. And then the lens. So we're looking about, and this right here is an anamorphic lens. So we're looking at about 110 grand webcam. Where's that camera? There it is. You can see some of the settings on this camera. I set it at 1600 and shooting 4.5K, ARRI RAW. There's a little bit of a look going on. And again, there's a 1.8 anamorphic squeeze. Usually it's 2. This aspect ratio is like what you see sometimes in in movies or fancy music videos or even commercials. So yeah, 110 grand for a webcam. Sounds like my kind of party. So is this too much? You tell me. You know, do you like this? Or do we like, well, not black, but do we like this? You know, it all depends on your taste, right? As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as too much camera. It's just about what you can afford. I definitely cannot afford this camera. Well, I can't afford. Where am I? I definitely cannot afford this camera. You know, not for a webcam. As a matter of fact, I probably can't even afford to rent it. So I am super grateful for being able to even test it here at the studio. It feels like such a privilege to do it. But look at the aesthetics, you know. Look at the fall off. Look at the highlights in the background, you know. And again, look at the range between the brightest whites and the blackest blacks. Look, there is one catch about these fancy cameras, and you know, like luxury cars. People can afford to buy luxury cars. Frankly, I could afford to buy this camera, but I couldn't afford to maintain it. And I couldn't even afford to utilize it because you need help when you have these kind of cameras. So this kind of image quality comes at a cost. For instance, when I move further back amongst my beloved little fantasy cams back here, notice that I'm out of focus. There's no focus, you know, there's no autofocus on these cameras, whether you're whether you're close or far. So if I go up here, same thing. So I have to be in one spot. Now, sometimes for streaming, that's a possibility. You might not need to move, and it's fine. As a matter of fact, you can set the depth of field by changing the iris for all you camera geeks out there. You can change the iris, and then you'll see a little what's in closer and a little further will be in focus. But the bigger the sensor, and by the way, this is considered a large format, full frame sensor, the same size as the sensor in a still photo camera. And for those of you who don't know, generally cinema cameras are almost half the size of a still photo sensor size. Feel free to email me if you really want to nerd out about that. We don't have time to do that here. Actually, I have all the time in the world, but I just don't want to talk about it. Sorry, sometimes I'm a jerk. So yeah, that is the Mini LF. And, you know, again, if you can't afford to maintain it, then it just doesn't make sense to have it. And let me bring back this. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what kind of camera you have. You can have the best camera in the world. If your content is just valueless, then it won't matter. I think I might have to take that back because there's a lot of stuff nowadays on TV and the internet, and then is there even radio anymore? That is just trash. And it's just designed to keep you watching so that more ads. Oh, by the way, producer, cue the ads. He's looking at me like, what the? So we don't have ads here. I tried to do an ad on the other stream before it crashed, and I found out that he muted me. He freaking muted me. I was just trying to give some love to B&H, and he's like, "Oh, you can't do that." Blah blah blah. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna keep sneaking in little shout outs to my man Michelle Suissa, Sharif Sadek, Clarissa Fulgieri for having me here. Apparently, I can't promote B&H, even though B&H is the #1 camera store. Fine, I get it. I did it again. Okay, well, yeah. So I don't even know where I was, but let's talk about so let's talk about the cameras, because it doesn't matter what camera you have. If you lose your network and everything crashes, you could have the best camera in the world. It doesn't matter. So you have to prioritize what you spend your money on, what you put your efforts on. You also have to be better at knowing which camera to look at when you have 6 cameras in front of your face. But maintaining a very expensive camera is actually the hardest part. And they're heavy too. You look in the back here. Look how big these cameras are, I can't even move it with one hand. It's so heavy. The tripod is like, 30 pounds. And frankly, I can move that camera. I have 20 years working in the camera department in the film and television industry, and that's why I have no more. I think I'm actually an inch shorter from when I started in the business, because just carrying all this heavy equipment, it's hard and it's stressful. And it's also literally hard. And you take that for granted, but when it's cold and you're carrying heavy metal and it's rubbing it against your... Anyway, I digress. We're talking about streaming here. And here I am. This is not therapy. This is not therapy time. Anyway. The one thing about the beautiful camera is if it's important in how you're expressing yourself, if it enhances your vision and it's a key in your vision, then by all means, get the best camera out there. If you're doing it professionally, then by all means, get the best camera out there. If you can afford to have someone work with you every time you stream, by all means, get the best camera out there. Just understand that it comes with a cost. Beauty comes with a cost. However, I'm sticking with my trusty Fuji X100, which currently is failing me. How ironic is that? Today has been a real struggle. Live streaming is oh my God, I can't say that. But live streaming can be a real beast. And it's just a formula for possible disasters that can happen. I'm usually really good at preventing them, but right now my trusty camera isn't working. So right now I'm gonna just, now that I have the opportunity, I'm just gonna keep streaming on this $110,000 camera. How's that? Let's do that. Where are you? Boom. Okay. So, sorry, Fuji. I love you. I'll miss you. But right now, I got something better. Yeah. As I said, in 2020, everybody became a streamer. And you had no choice. Either you curled up in bed and just waited for something to happen, or you found a way. And that's what a lot of us did. And a lot of us were not used to virtual communication. A lot of people were not into virtual communication, but it's what we had. It was the safest way. So sometimes you just have to embrace it. Even my mother was streaming. Zoom meetings, that's still streaming. But tutorials came up, support on COVID relief, support on COVID treatment, what to do, just how to live and how to survive. Cooking videos were huge because suddenly nobody could go out to eat. And so you had people who were used to cooking, suddenly had to become streamers and have cooking shows live. You know, I have friends who just learned how to cook during COVID because they had no choice. And thanks to live streaming or streaming in general and tutorials, they were able to learn step by step. And the ability to interact with someone live, which, by the way, guys, come on, interact with me or something. And I realize now that this link is dead. Some of you actually were trying to reach out on the original stream, but since we crashed, I was not able to talk back to you. But to be able to interact with someone that you can somehow learn to feel engaged with visually, through audio, through their words, those were lifelines for a lot of people. Therapy. I'm sure all therapists suddenly had to learn how to stream, how to talk to their clients, to save them. The list goes on and on. So do you need a $110,000 camera to do that? Yes. No. I mean, I just want to say yes. I really want to say yes, and I want everybody to buy $110,000 cameras just to stream. As a matter of fact, I think I'll buy one tomorrow. I hope my wife isn't watching this. Yeah. Do you need this kind of firepower? Not really. Because it's not about the camera. And the one thing Hechinova Digital has decided to provide in streams is value. But the biggest value you can find is working on you and your content. What are you bringing to the world in your stream? Is it fancy cameras? Or is it fancy cooking? Or is it fancy cars? Whatever it is, what really matters is you work on your content and you and your message. And I'll talk to you on my iPhone, you know. As soon as 1,000 of you subscribe, I'll start streaming from my iPhone. I'll still have the same message. Just do it. Work on your message. Provide value. Have good intent. That's what streaming is all about. A lot of people want to stream, say, "Oh, I'm gonna get ads, or I'm gonna get sponsors, or I'm gonna get YouTube to pay me." Everybody's striving for success. Let's just try and provide value via streaming. And when the world opens up back again, and we can all be together and hold hands and hug and have concerts and be at movies, then maybe streaming will go away. Streaming won't go away. So if you've got something to say, take your onboard, where am I here? Take your onboard camera. There. From your laptop. Get online and stream. And if one day you get to the point where you feel like, you know, I'm so vain, and I'm just speaking of vain, like, Jesus Christ, I am all shiny. Makeup. They're not coming. Oh, because I'm not wearing a mask. Okay, so, you know, if you're so vain that you feel like you've got to get the fanciest camera because you feel like it makes you better, then fine. Or if you just have money to blow and you want to buy the fanciest camera, fine. But if you happen to own it and you decide to use it as a webcam, fine. But the key thing is, what's your message? What are you doing for your viewers? What do you want to say? So I guess that's, you know, to answer the title, right? what the question was, how much camera is too much camera for a webcam? And I'll answer again. I love cameras. Cameras are some of my favorite things. And the last bit I started singing, I'm not going to sing this time because, frankly, I'm tired. I've been here for a long time. But I lost my train of thought. If you have the camera, use it. If you don't need it. Just put your message out there. Okay. Once again, I'm going to close this out, but a super duper special shout out to the studio here at B&H for having us here, for letting us stream. Shout out to my producer, Brian Verxis, for keeping me moving forward and not quitting after a network crash. And thanks again to the viewers. I'm kind of mad, by the way, at my old trusty camera, but I digress. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in. We saw you earlier before we crashed, so I had to come back and make sure I finish this out. I hope this was helpful. If you found this valuable in any way, shape, or form, be sure to subscribe, like, or share, and help us get the message out there. All right, YouTube. I'll see you next time. Maybe we'll be back here. Maybe we won't. Hopefully we'll have better luck with the network. And I won't mention any names, but I just threw my hotspot in a puddle outside in the rain. I almost climbed up that building and tore down the tower because I was so mad at Verizon. I said I wouldn't mention any names. But thank you again for joining us. My name is Hetch, and I'm here to help you get views. See you next time.